Hey guys, I think I am on my last read aloud for today, and then we have a couple more days before I'll need to post another one. But hopefully by then I'm finally wearing something different because the last 4 videos I've recorded sitting right here. So go ahead and get out the spinal cord and brain. This is 8.3. It's page 71 and 72. Go grab it from your red folder or dig it out from your backpack where I know you guys like to stuff them. I am going to read from the reader. So I'm going to do what I do every time, and I'm going to go find the spinal cord and brain in my table of contents. So I'm going to look down here, and it says, the spinal cord and brain, page 40. So I'm going to go to page 40. There I am. Yours is page 71 and 72 because yours is from your activity book. I am reading from the reader because we have the photos and captions. We have all those text features that we love using that make reading fun and grab our attention. And we only have the heading and bold print on this one, which is fine because you've already read this. You're going to read along with me, but I will show you all the text features that you might miss. So at the top, we're going to start by reading the title of this chapter together. Ready? Go. The spinal cord and brain. Excellent job. Put your finger at the top where it says you've got a lot of nerves. Follow along, read with me. You've got a lot of nerves. Really, you do. You have nerves in your fingers. You have nerves in your toes. There are nerves all over your body. But there are 2 parts of the body that are especially important for your nervous system. One is the spinal cord. The other is the brain. In my photo and caption, my caption says, your brain, spinal cord, and nerves, and it shows you. If you know me, or you are in my class, or have been in my class, you know that the brain is my favorite organ, and so I am very excited to read about it. You're going to put your finger where it says, I told you a little. You're on the 2nd paragraph. Ready? I told you a little about the spinal cord earlier when we were looking at the skeletal system. I told you that the bones that make up your spine, the vertebrae, are there to protect your spinal cord. The vertebrae are hollow, and long strings of nerves run through the hollow parts of the bones. The nerves that make up the spinal cord run all the way up your back and neck. They end up in the brain. If I were to have a serious accident or damage my spinal cord, I might end up paralyzed, unable to move my legs and or my arms. If you look at the word paralyzed, it's in bold. It is on your paper also. And then it tells you right after, unable to move my legs and or my arms. That is the definition of paralyzed. That's what it means, if you are not able to move your legs and or your arms. I might need to use a wheelchair to get around, like the boy in this photograph. You see, the brain uses the spinal cord as a sort of superhighway to send messages out to the rest of the body. If the spinal cord is broken or damaged, the messages can't get through to the arms and legs. In this photo, we have the 2 kids in the wheelchair and then one on crutches, and it says, these children have experienced change to their spinal cords, which impacts how they move. All right, we're going to put your finger where it says the spinal cord leads. Yours is right here. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th paragraph down. I hope you're still reading along. I know it's kind of lengthy. The spinal cord leads right to the center of your nervous system, your brain. So what is the center of your nervous system? Very good, the brain. It's the brain that receives messages from the nerves. It's the brain that sends messages out to your muscles. It's the brain that, even though the brain weighs only 2 to 3 pounds, it is the most important organ for life. So how much does the brain weigh? 2 to 3 pounds. The brain is protected by the skull. Inside the skull, there are 3 layers of fiber and fluid protecting the brain, so the brain is really well protected. but it can still be harmed. Ask a football player who's had a concussion. Getting a concussion is like bruising the brain. Ouch. Down here it just says the human brain. You are at the bottom of your page where it says the brain is divided. The brain is divided into three main parts: the medulla, the cerebellum, and the cerebrum. Each part has its own job to do. The medulla, or brainstem, is located at the base of the skull in the back, right where the spinal cord meets the brain. The medulla controls the important involuntary actions of the body, like breathing, heartbeat, and digestion. Remember, involuntary means what? Yes, we don't have to tell it to do it. It does it automatically. We don't tell our bodies to breathe. We don't tell our hearts to beat. And we don't have to tell our body to digest food. It does it automatically. Oh, I forgot to read the photo and caption. The caption says the three main parts of the brain. Cerebrum, that's this wrinkly part, like in here, the big part. When you think of a brain, you probably think of a cerebrum. The cerebellum, which is in the back, and the medulla, which is the brain stem, and that's right here. Let's see where you're at. You are on the back, right here where it says the cerebellum. The cerebellum sits right next to the medulla. It is divided into two hemispheres or halves. The cerebellum has several jobs. One of them is to control voluntary movements. That means the cerebellum helps you walk, run, and jump. Remember, walking, running, and jumping are voluntary because you are choosing to do it. You're telling your body to do it. The two hemispheres of the cerebellum control different parts of the body. The right hemisphere controls movement on the left side of the body. The left hemisphere controls movement on the right side. It might seem strange that the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, but that's just the way we're made. And over here I have this big picture. It says cerebrum. We have our two hemispheres. Cerebellum, which also has two hemispheres, and our medulla or brainstem. The hemispheres of the cerebrum and the cerebellum. And this says the cerebrum of the brain. Put your finger where it says the third part of the brain. You're about the third or fourth paragraph down. The third part of the brain is the cerebrum. The cerebrum sits on top of the cerebellum and the medulla. It is the largest part of the brain. Each part of the cerebrum has a certain job to do. For example, the front part, just inside your forehead, controls emotions. The very back part, just above the brainstem, controls the sense of sight. The sense of touch is controlled by a strip of the brain running over the top of your head from ear to ear. The outside part of the cerebrum is called the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is the wrinkly part of the brain that most people think about when they think of a brain. People sometimes call this part of the brain the gray matter. And this says cerebral cortex. So I want you to look and tell me, what are the functions of the cerebrum, or what are some things it controls? Can you find that? I hope you said emotions, sight, and touch. Those are three things it mentions in here. We're going to go, almost done. So we're going to go right here where it says the cerebrum is divided. You're towards the bottom on this side on page 72. We're going to finish strong, so stick with me. Put your finger where it says the cerebrum is divided. The cerebrum is divided into two hemispheres, just like the cerebellum. Until recently, we did not know much about what the various parts of the cerebrum did or do. But in the past few decades, we have learned a lot. Scientists now have even more advanced ways than just x-rays to look at and observe different organs in the body, including the brain. They use something called a PET scan to see different parts of the brain work. A scientist may ask the person having the PET scan to do something like talk or blink his or her eyes. When the person performs different actions, different parts of the brain light up on a computer screen. Scientists have learned a lot about what happens when the brain, what happens where in the brain by looking at PET scans. As you can see from this image of the brain, some of the things we do take place in the left hemisphere while others happen in the right hemisphere. And this shows you in the picture. So left brain functions, analytic thought, logic, language, reasoning. Right brain functions, art, creativity, imagination. And this just says things that happen in each hemisphere of the cerebrum. All right, that was it for that read aloud. I hope you enjoyed reading 8.3 with me. If you need to start the video over and read again, or you want to stop it and just read it to yourself. See ya.